Welcome again, guys. As you know, I'm Tim from Solid RTO, and what I've been brought in for you today is to actually run through a staff meeting, getting you confident enough to be able to present some of the issues or ideas within a workplace health and safety situation that you've actually seen within your organisation. Now, understanding you're all brand new trainees, so therefore you need to be confident enough to be able to deliver these things, because your employee actually has an obligation, or it is expected that they look after you when you go to work. So the idea of you going to work is they want you to go home at the end of the day, but if they don't know or if they don't act, they can be held legally accountable for that. That means they can get into trouble for that. Okay, so before we start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an acknowledgement of country. Okay, in the tradition of reconciliation, today we acknowledge the First Nation people as the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands on which we meet on today, and pay our respect to their ancestors and their descendants, past, present, and into the future. Okay, so what we're expected to do today, so what I'm hoping to get out of this is by the end of this session, you will be able to identify some of the issues that are in the workplace, but also be confident enough to go to your staff meeting and to your supervisors or even executives within your organisation and be able to present your ideas confidently, knowing that they actually have an obligation, that they are required to act on those things. Obligation means they actually should be doing something about it. So by the end of this lesson, you should have a good understanding of some of the issues that you could have and be confident enough to be able to deliver those things. Okay. Before we get into that, what you'll see in front of you is you'll have a piece of paper, leave it face down, because that's going to be right at the end. That's going to be a little test of objectives or what we're going to discuss. It's a case study. But also you'll have your learning resources in front of you and also some pictures on the back. Don't turn them over just yet. Okay, you should have a pen and pencil in front of you. Choose whichever one you want. And now on the back of your blank piece of paper, you can write whatever you want on there. Now, also before we go, safety is very important, and this is a workplace health and safety. So in the unlikely event of an emergency, we're going to go out to the front of the organisation here, out of the training rooms in an orderly fashion and into the assembly area that the Portside Council has actually set up out front. Washrooms are in the location where you need, if you need to go, please just put your hand up and say, can I be excused? I just need to go to the washroom. Just let me know if you need to. In the event of a fire, we'll mitigate with a fire extinguisher if need be, or if can. If we can't, then we'll actually evacuate the building and let O do that. But we'll also close all the windows and that before we leave the building. And just do everything in an orderly fashion. Someone at Portside Council will actually be in charge of that. They usually have fire marshals or someone that'll actually come around and organise that stuff. So like I said, does anyone have any questions on anything before we go for it? Okay, what we're going to get into now is the body of the lesson. So the workplace health and safety is actually sort of something that is required that your employer has a responsibility to make. And what I mean by that is making your workplace safe for you and hopefully reducing the workplace injuries or incidents that occur, and then and the results of those incidents could be an accident or an injury, which then takes you off time off work and also reduces the productivity of the organisation. Okay, it also can reduce workers' compensation claims. So the idea is reporting an incident or an action or something that you see as safe is very important. Okay. And then remember that identifying and reporting hazards and incidents as they arise is everyone's responsibility. It's not only your supervisor's responsibility, it's their responsibility to do something about it, but it is your responsibility to notify them that you don't feel safe, or there are hazards or something that's in around your area. So you can contribute to a safer and healthier environment for yourself. Okay, there's a big buzzword going around psychological safety. That's just meaning you being safe at work and feeling comfortable in your work environment. So if someone talks about psychological safety, it's about providing you with a safe environment to work in. Okay, so consultation, workplace health and safety consultation is an ongoing process, and it requires commitment from all levels of the organisation. So starting from yourself being the trainees, going up to your management, and then also the executive level. Okay, regularly assessing and improving your workplace is something that is a good option, a good thing to do, and it allows for the practices that you're currently doing to be assessed, and if they need to be changed, making those changes. Okay, but before we go on, what I want you to do is just have a look at this. This is actually 3 simple steps. This short YouTube video is actually going to capture pretty much what we're talking about today.
Presentation will provide you with 7 simple steps to manage your work health and safety in your business. Getting started. Successful safety cultures are led from the top, where your actions and attitudes send a message to your workers that you are serious about their health and safety. Effective safety management in a workplace requires involvement from everyone to make it safe. To do this successfully, people need to understand their responsibilities and how they can meet them. Talking with your team. Effective consultation encourages greater awareness of issues and can lead to improved safety outcomes. Seeking workers' input when making decisions shows them that you take their health and safety seriously. This includes concerns about your workers' well-being, because mental health is as important as physical health. Follow up on your workers' suggestions and make improvements with a record of safety discussions. Managing hazards. Part of managing health and safety in your workplace is controlling the risks. To do this, you will need to accurately identify potential hazards. Having identified potential hazards, you'll need to first consider if they can be eliminated. If this is not possible, then consider the risks involved and put practicable measures in place to control them. Information, training, and supervising your team. Training, including workplace inductions, is one of the best ways to ensure that the people in your business are safe while at work. It provides workers with information about the potential risks associated with their work, the safety policies and procedures you have in place, as well as how to work safely and deal with emergencies. It also ensures that your workers understand their work environment, their job expectations, and employment conditions. Maintaining a safe workplace. It is everyone's responsibility to maintain a safe workplace. Regular communications between management and staff is crucial to keeping safety a priority. Add safety as an item to your regular meetings so staff feel comfortable bringing up any issues as they arise. Keeping records. Written records of your work health and safety activities, near misses and incidents are important for your business. These records can help demonstrate what you have done to manage safety in your workplace. This can be important if an incident occurs requiring investigation. Monitoring and reviewing to improve. Managing and improving health and safety needs to be ongoing. Safety processes and operation evolve with time, and workers and equipment can come and go, changing the risks in your workplace. When you actively seek to identify hazards, inform, train, and supervise your team, you can be confident that you are managing the risks and the people exposed to them. Guidance material and templates are available to complement these steps and provide you with more information. For assistance with work health and safety in your business, you can request a free visit from our small business safety advisors by calling 1800 019 115.
Okay, so that, as you can see, that little video sort of covers pretty much everything what is expected of yourself, but also an organisation, and the 7 steps that you can use to make it a safe and healthy environment to work at. So what we're going to do now, what I want you to do is take your piece of paper and flip it over. Okay, and what you'll see there is there's a couple of pictures of things that you could see in your workplace. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to find out what information that you probably should report on and be comfortable enough to put forward to your supervisor. So, for example, what do you see in that first picture, top left-hand corner?
Water on the ground.
Okay, okay. And so, what are some of the hazards with water on the ground?
Someone could slip.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so slippery surface, someone can slip. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you do? What could you do as a worker to make that sort of safe?
To clean it up.
Okay. Okay. So if you feel comfortable and you need to write some stuff down, just feel free to you can write on the piece of paper in front of you on your blank paper. Okay, so we're gonna clean it up. What else could we do?
Yeah, put like a caution sign.
Okay, caution sign. What sort of caution sign would you use?
Wet floor.
Wet floor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember what the picture was for that one?
This is the yellow one.
The yellow and black one, yep.
Yeah.
With a person slipping over?
Yeah.
Yeah, slippery when wet. Slippery when wet. Okay,
No,
so,
good.
okay, yep. Yep, so you can clean it up. Okay, what happens if it appears again then?
Could be a leak from the roof.
Yep. And what do you reckon you need to do if it was a leak from the roof?
On like
Tell someone.
Yeah, so that's it. So for you personally, you just need to notify your supervisor and they will organise it. Because what does a leak in a roof or a wall possibly create if it actually is allowed to sit there?
mold.
Mold.
What kind of mold?
Bad mold.
Bad mold?
Is it
Black-
good? Is there
black
good
mold?
mold?
There's no good, well, I don't know. But yeah, I think they usually call it black mold, but yeah, it's not good for you and it's not good for your respiratory system. So it should be fixed up. So that is something that you should be identifying and writing it down to remember when you bring it to your safety supervisor. That you've actually tried to clean it up, but it continues to leak. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so, and what suggestions would you have to improve it going forward? With the water spill, clean it up, and then repair it if need be?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so we'll look at the next picture. As you can see, what do you think that is?
The bottom one.
No, the one to the right.
Charger.
Okay, so it's a broken charger.
Yeah. Electrocution.
Okay, yep. So that could, what else could that, so it could for personally, could be electrocution, so cord, or just the cable.
Like shock.
Shock. Electrocution. So with that, what else could that create? What other hazards or?
Not charging your stuff.
Okay, yeah, that it won't help. No charging. Okay, what about?
A dripping hazard.
Could be it could be a tripping hazard. Yes, which is probably the way it got busted. Could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know anything else.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, so what happens if that provides a spark?
Oh, fire.
Fire. Okay, so it's a fire hazard. Okay, so what could we do? What could you do in your staff meeting to to make suggestions to rectify that.
Bring it up to replace it.
Okay, so replace it. Now, how would you know? How would you identify that it needs to be replacing?
You can see the cable in.
Could bring it to them.
Yep. What did you say, Chase?
You can see the cable inside.
You can see the cable.
The protective thing.
So
on
what?
the outside.
Yeah. So what should you do with that cable?
Throw it out.
Well, it's not probably your responsibility to throw it out because it's owned by the business.
Oh, you
Take a
gotta
photo?
report, you gotta report it.
You could take a photo. Yep. You could tag it as well. So you could put a little tag on it to say that it's unserviceable,
Oh.
and then take it, and so someone else doesn't use it as well.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. And like you said, either you'll take it to your supervisor, and they'll either tell you to put it in the bin. So, okay, so moving on, the next one. You've seen, okay, so what do you see in this picture?
Alright.
A rat eating some
Or eating
leftover
some food.
like
Okay.
leftover food.
Alright, so is that a good thing in your workplace?
No.
Okay,
Disgusting.
alright, so what do you think you can do to sort of minimise that?
Rat poison.
Clean up
Oh,
the
no, you would
mess.
have to report it.
Okay, yeah, report it.
Clean up the food.
Okay, yeah, clean it up. Now, in a work environment where there's lots of people, what else could you do? Because you might get tired of having to clean up somebody else's mess.
Like bring it up.
Yep. Okay, so report it. That links
yeah,
back to
yeah.
reporting it, but also probably highlighting it in your workplace. But if it's in, say, a communal area, you could maybe sort of put a sign up to say, hey, could you please put your rubbish in the bin?
Yes.
So things like that. Because, yes, it is everyone's responsibility, but sometimes you'll find some people don't have the same standards, and you want to be able to make it clear that everyone is. So probably put a sign. And then, like you said, that maybe once you've reported it, if there are rats and that, they may get someone in to actually deal with the pests to control it. But if the supervisors are not aware of it, so the first thing is to actually clean up the situation, make it safe, and then report it. And those reports can be both verbally to your supervisor in a sort of staff meeting situation, but also you can write that down. The organisation, the Portside Council would actually have incident reports that you could actually write on and then hand it in to your safety manager or the person that is looking after, usually a safety officer within the organisation. Okay. All right. So, does anyone have any questions with that? So the idea is you've noticed some issues within your, well, you need to be confident enough that if issues arise, that you are willing to go and report them, and just understand that behind you reporting it, there is an expectation, or your employer has to do something about it. Because it's their role and responsibility to make that workplace safe.
Wait.
Question.
So like in the workplace, like if there's a hazard, is it your job to like clean it up and report it, or is it just like, cause with the charger and that, is it your job to replace it, or is it just like you just report it and then let them fix it?
So it'll actually depend on the situation. Like for example, the rat with food being left out, you need to clean it up first to get to stop attracting the rats coming back in, but also you need to report it to get rid of it. Okay. Same with the spill. There's no use leaving the piece of, like putting a slippery when wet and leaving the puddle of water there that someone could still slip in. So you might as well clean it up, but if it comes back, then it's actually your supervisor's responsibility to make sure that is fixed. Now the cable is a different thing because it's a piece of property that's not owned by you. It's owned by the company. It's not up to you to decide what happens to that piece of equipment. So you tag it, you identify it, you let them know, and then let them either say, okay, please throw that away, or they will actually dispose of it the way that they want.
Yeah. Okay.
So certain circumstances, so you may have to ask your supervisor, hey, what do you want me to do about this? But for example, anything that is dangerous that you can rectify straight away, like that little video said, you're going to eliminate it straight away, then do that, make it safe. But then still report it, so if it keeps happening, then they can actually rectify it. Okay, so what we're going to do now, no more questions? Okay, so what we're going to do is a bit of a scenario here. Okay, so I'll read it out. Okay, you enjoy your work here at Portside Council, but you've been worried about some health and safety and security incidents and an accident that has happened recently. Your work area is organised, but when items are moved to the storeroom, it is hard to find what you need. So I've underlined probably the big important parts there for you. Is the storeroom, so it's actually, that's the issue. It's hard to find what you need. You also feel unsafe when you enter the room as there are piles of heavy boxes everywhere. And there may be a different object on the floor, including cables and smaller boxes. You even found some food scraps. So all those pictures that you just saw there have actually in this storeroom. Other colleagues have also mentioned they feel unsafe using the room as someone tripped and another hurt their shin from falling over a box. These small incidents have not been reported through the appropriate WHS procedures. Today, as you entered the storeroom, a box falls from the shelf in front of you. You are not injured, but feel upset as the box could have fallen on your head. You have decided to report this to your supervisor during today's Teams meeting, so no one gets hurt in the future, and to discuss improvements that need to be made. Okay, so you are to participate in a team meeting where you will provide information on the hazards you have identified and discuss some suggestions to make improvements to the situation. Okay. So, do you need a piece of paper to write some things down, or?
I can choose this.
Okay, cool. You can just use it wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some of the incidents that we need to report from what you've actually that I've read there?
Well, like the main one is that, like, what happened to you was the box fell in front of you.
Okay. So the falling box.
Yeah.
And what could have happened?
It could have hit you.
Okay. Yep. Which would have resulted in an injury of some sort, depending on the size of the box. Okay. So what do we need to do? Because that box isn't the only issue with boxes. If we read up the top, what do you see there?
There's also tripping hazards.
Yeah, so there's smaller boxes than that. So what could we do to that storeroom? What needs to happen to that storeroom?
Needs to be organized.
Okay, that's the first one. That is one of your recommendations. So a recommendation. So one way you could actually look at this is you could have the observation, which is boxes dangerous, whatever. That's your observation. But your recommendation, because that's what you want to do. You want to show that there's an observation or an issue. So we'll call it an observation issue. And then your recommendation is to organise the storeroom. Okay. So how could we recommend the storeroom? Now you haven't seen this storeroom because this is a hypothetical. But what could you do in the storeroom to make it more organised?
Get out the stuff you don't need.
Yep, okay, yep. So one recommendation is clean out unwanted stuff. Yep, what else?
Pick up all the stuff on the floor.
Yep. How could we pick up stuff from a floor in a storage room? and make it more organised.
Put it on the shelf.
There we go, shelving. Okay, so one of the thing is, that's a really good one, to organise a storage room is if it doesn't have shelving, one of the recommendations is to purchase shelving. Okay, so that's good. Alright, what else?
The food scraps.
Yep.
Clean.
Still on another one.
Yeah, no, we can go. So the other observation is food scraps. Okay, what are we going to do with that?
Clean them up.
Okay, so your recommendation is removal of food scraps?
Yep.
Yep. Is there a way to stop people from taking stuff in there again?
Yeah, great.
A
Like,
sign.
Yep. Okay, that's a good idea. So put a sign up there. Okay, so the biggest thing is this storeroom, everyone feels unsafe going into it. So what do you reckon you need to do with the storeroom straight away?
Close the door.
Very good. Okay, so your observation is storeroom is unsafe. Okay, and your recommendation is to close it off. So how would you close it off? How could you close it off until it's been rectified?
I don't know.
Okay.
A sign.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. A sign. Yep. You can use sign. You can use caution tape. You could, but a sign would be like. And what sign would you use?
it wouldn't be.
Do not enter.
Bingo. I was just about to write a big "do not enter" because that's what you would do. And then just put a sign due to being unsafe until it's been sorted out, something like that.
Yeah.
But do not enter. Perfect. So there's some pretty big things. So what else? We add the cable. So you've got in cables. So you said something about cables before. What do they become?
Tripping hazard.
Tripping hazards. Okay. So what are we going to do? What is your recommendation with the cables? What could you do with them?
Get them off the floor.
Okay.
Find a place to put them on the shelf.
Yeah. Okay. Put them in a box. Put them in something that is safer than just being laying around. Okay. Now, if they're damaged, like the one in the picture here, what would you do?
Like tag it.
Yep.
And then report it.
Yep. Okay. Tag and report it.
I'll bring it up in the meeting that you're having.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. All right. Is there anything else? So, with that, the only other thing that I say out of this thing is it says other colleagues have mentioned that they feel unsafe. Okay, so like they said, incident reports are everyone's responsibility. So what you should do is, if you are going to report it, if somebody else is feeling unsafe and that about it, then actually get them to report it as well. Because the more reports on certain incidents will actually get action. There is usually a priority list, or how they actually see which one needs to be fixed first. That's prioritising. So what they will do is they'll look at the ones that actually have got the most concerns or the most reports on it, and then probably action them first if they are the most serious as well. Doesn't mean that only one report goes in and it doesn't get action because it's not important. If it's actually very important, they'll action it first.
So this one where it says the person hurt their shin falling over.
Yep.
They should have done an incident report.
Yes, they should, because that has actually physically been hurt. So yeah, so you could probably recommend to that person to write a report on exactly what's happened. Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry for that.
So as you know, the idea of this session was to just to build your confidence to be able to sit down during a Teams meeting when you're not only just sitting down with the people that you work with, but actually the people you work for as well. So your supervisors don't. Sometimes people aren't confident enough to talk about it, but if you've got an understanding of what is required by everyone and then what is your responsibility in this, and you can actually identify it and bring these recommendations to your boss, that's what we're hoping to do. So during the session, what we've covered is the workplace health and safety standards and requirements, the legislation that sits behind it, of what is expected of yourself and also your employer. Main points to remember are safety is everyone's responsibility. It's not just your supervisor, because sometimes your supervisor doesn't know and they can't fix what they don't know. So you need to be confident enough. So then remembering to report these safety issues in whatever means available, like they said on the video, during staff meetings. If you've got incident reports, you can write it down, you can email your supervisor, the safety officer, and they should action it. Okay, so the next lesson is going to be with your supervisor doing the Teams meeting, because I don't have anything else further for you today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gotta click